Well, hello and welcome to this week's video blog entitled Journey to Wholeness. Pentecost blessings upon you. Today is the Monday after Pentecost, and so we had a great celebration here at St. Michael's. We had a guest celebrant, Reverend Kim Jackson, who's the Episcopal chaplain at Morehouse and another Clark, Atlanta, I think. So she celebrated, and I preached at both services, and then we had a big lunch in the parish hall, so it was great turnout. So it was our first Sunday back on deck, as it were, in the liturgy, the work of a liturgy, the work of loving and praying and serving God. So a couple of things this from the last week on the therapeutic part of the journey. I've been reading a book. It is called, this one's called Brain Gym and Me. And it's written by a guy called Paul Dennison. He is an educational psychologist and focusing on kinesthetic learning, how you are able to learn through movement. For the way your brain works. And I had come across 3 weeks ago this book called Brain Gym for Business. And what it has in it, in this one, there are, you can see, I'll show you, there will be a diagram, an artistic diagram, and then a description of an exercise to do, and then a brief blurb on why it is helpful for you. And so I saw this at a workshop I did on photo reading, and I got it. And then I ordered this one, and I'm about halfway through. And he makes a claim where 30 years of experience and hundreds of thousands of people who have been trained all around the world on how the limbic system works and how your body works and how you've got left and right hemispheres of the brain, and there are the pathways between left and right. You have the three-stem brain, the limbic being the most primitive part of the brain. And he has in these books the research and the evidence of how change can occur in learning based on changing in your physical actions. And so I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I'll try anything. So one exercise where you stand on your feet and you lift your right leg up and your right up in sequence. So up and down, up and down. And then left, up and down. Standing up, you do, breathe out and breathe in. And then you do left side. Initially, I would fall over standing on one leg as I lift the opposite one up. I started doing this last Monday, really. This is Monday here now. And then the second one is where you actually get your hands, cross them over, bottom up, cross your legs, and then stick your tongue into the top of your mouth and breathe out for about 2 minutes. And he makes a claim that, for example, if a student, remember he's an educationalist working with kids, and then adults who have learning, quote-unquote, disabilities. Writing, he says, you want to improve your writing, you have to improve the large muscles in your shoulder and how they're driven by your brain, because the writing doesn't happen in your hand, it happens back here through here. If you play the piano, you don't play the piano with your fingers, you play the piano from in here. So when you learn a piece of music, you internalize it, and when you play it, you put into your hands the passion and the mood of the piece of music. It starts from here. It's so I started doing that last week. Close my hands, fold them up, stand on one leg, stick my tongue at the top of my mouth, and just breathe out. And I thought, this is a bit odd, but I'll do it, So I was doing that. Now, with the stroke, 7 months after the stroke, I'm left-handed. In my writing, I would have trouble, the eye-hand coordination, to get it down and make mistakes and cross it out. And on Saturday, I knew he said, writing improves your brain function better than typing. Avoid typing. So put your eyes down on paper writing and then type up the result. That's what he says. So I get my fountain pen out, my favourite fountain pen, and I write with no errors. Clear, well-formed words and writing. And I'm like, damn, this is good stuff, And there are other exercises, and he gives clinical examples of people come seeking help. So he makes a claim that, briefly, is that we forget as adults that we have to live on the earth and manage our bodies through time with gravity. Kids, when they learn to walk, stand up, fall down. Stand up, fall down. So they're learning to balance themselves and to live within the gravitational pull of the earth. As we get old enough, we just forget that it exists. When you learn to ride a bicycle, you know a lot about the gravity, because if you go too far left on a bicycle, plop, So I know I saw a guy having a driving test here in Atlanta on a motorbike, and he pulled up the stop sign with the person doing the test, and he forgot to put his feet out. He thought he was in the car, and he went plop with the motorbike. I thought, he failed, So he says, we watch babies. They on the hands and feet, up, rock, and go down, up, down. After time, they are balanced. And he makes the claim that our learning is similarly influenced by our balance or lack of balance. And that if we actually attend to our posture and do exercises which stretch certain muscles and muscle groups, the net gain will be better mental functioning, that our left and right hemispheres will cross over. In the book it talks about how people have a dominance. For example, when you start to walk, do you lead with the left or right foot? Dominance. Do you right left or right hand? Left, dominant. He says you're dominant in your ears. Do you tend to listen to the right if you're listening? What are you dominant? He said you have dominance in your eyes. One eye is more dominant than the other. He said your nostrils alternate. I don't even know that. Every 90 minutes, one nostril gets larger and does more oxygen than the other, and it rotates. The one on the left is one that activates here and causes the creativity to work. Who knew, right? So your nostrils, horses, they flare the nostrils. That oxygenates their brain, So that's fascinating, So he says these things about how we can participate in well-being by doing simple exercises without paying thousands of dollars at a gym or a doctor. You can do these things, So I recommend and commend these texts to you. Get the exercises and do them. They're very simple. You can do them anywhere. But the one piece I want to share with you, which I used to help the sermon yesterday, was a modern contemporary research on neuroscience and evolutionary psychology, biology. The heart. So Pentecost is the gift of God to us, pouring God's love into our heart. When I was in high school, I did learn the body, and we learned that the heart is a pump. It pumps blood. It pumps it down, pumps it back, pumps it up. That's what the heart does. That's all the heart does. The brain thinks, makes decisions, it's executive function, that's what the brain does. He says and shares research that the heart sends more signals to the brain sends to the heart. That now the scientists will say there is intelligence in your organ called the heart. Your stomach also is an organism for thinking. So when your stomach talks to you, it is, So it says, heart research says, it's not just about pumping blood. It's actually a place where affect, emotions, the seat of identity is really in your heart, not in your mind. Remember Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. The gospel says, I love, therefore I am. So ponder on how much you use your heart in your relationships. Have we got joyful hearts? Are we hard-hearted? Are we generous in our heart? We can start to mine the concept of heart, and God's love has poured into us. So mere good heart and good cheer. So these are some reflections that I offer to you to speak in the journey, and we'll see you again next week. So live well, live strong, and live long. See you next week.